Hi, and welcome to TalkRx with Dr. Neha. We are taking in all your questions, and I want to know, what do you want to know about communicating effectively with family, with friends, with bosses and neighbors and colleagues? And a woman from New York wrote me a very interesting question. She wants to know why is it that my friends at work, as well as my family at home, when I'm with them, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. How do I have so many moody people in my life? Well, one thing I want to say is you choose who you surround yourself with. Certainly, we don't often get to choose, right, who our parents and our siblings and our family are, but we certainly choose who our friends are and who we surround ourselves with, depending on where we work, where we choose to live, and what profession we go into, and how we want to work in that profession. So the first thing you want to know is, how is it that this has happened, right? The first place you want to ask yourself is, which of these relationships have I chosen and what am I getting from them, right? So there's something you value in these relationships. And so there is some good to it. The part that I hear you struggling with is around the moodiness piece, which is you aren't quite sure how to deal with people when you don't know how they're going to be when you show up in a relationship, a conversation with them, or run into them. I'm going to take a leap of faith here and make a guess. I'm going to say that you might be someone who likes harmony and who wants to have, your exchanges and your relationships with people be really peaceful or connected and easy. And who doesn't want that? But I would ask you to go a step further and ask yourself, do you avoid conflict? Are you someone who wants things to always be nice, and so you kind of turn yourself into a pretzel to make sure that everybody around you is okay? Because if that's what you're doing, it's an exhausting dance. So even the fact that you want to know the answer to this question tells me that you have some pretty colorful and animated people in your life. A lot of times creative people, artistic people, amazing, spirited, colorful people in your life who may bring you excitement, drama, all of it, might also at the same time have you feeling a little uncomfortable. So ask yourself, what is it that I get from these people? What joys do they bring into my life? And now the second piece comes in, and it's really asking yourself the question, which is, what is the lesson that they've showed up in my life to teach me? So one of the ways that I realized I started to become moody, because I'm actually not typically someone who becomes moody, but I noticed, I was trying to think back of a few examples for me, and one of them was at work. And I noticed that I started to become the one who was moody. And that was because I didn't have the right relationship to my work, to the people at my work. At the time, I was a physician partner, and I felt like there were rules and belief systems that were around me that didn't really align with how I wanted to take care of patients. I started to become grumpy, I started to become irritable, and I started to become that person that you're talking about. Well, what I realized needed to happen was I needed to actually leave that partnership and become a consultant to that very same organization. And now I'll tell you, I am consistently happy and excited every time I go there. So one way that you can ask yourself this and learn from this is not focus on the other people's moodiness, but ask yourself, do I try to keep everything in harmony and consistent? Am I turning myself into a pretzel around these people, or am I allowing them to be where they are? Maybe they do have a rise and fall of emotion. Maybe that's part of why you love them. And maybe you need to change your relationship with them. Maybe you don't need to live with them. Maybe you need to live 2 blocks from them. Or maybe you don't need to work with them on, a certain team. Maybe you need to be a consultant to them. I don't know exactly what the answer is for you particularly, but I do know that if you start to think about these questions and start to ask yourself some different ones, you're going to be able to come to an answer that's going to serve not only you, but also your friends. And you know what I'm going to advocate for. At the end, once you start doing this exploration, I'm going to advocate that you actually have a conversation with them and share with them what you've learned about yourself. So if you notice that you have judgments or opinions or beliefs about somebody else's moods or struggle in relationship with somebody, make sure you ask yourself these questions and get to the root of what's happening and then have an honest conversation with them. So thanks for listening. I hope that all of you will send me your questions, continue to do so, and drop me a tweet at hashtag AskDrNeha, AskDoctorNeha, or write your question and comments down below. So I look forward to hearing from you, and until we talk again.